All right, good morning. It is the day after that V-Day holiday. I don't know. I don't get into it. The only thing it means to me is we're almost at baseball. That's why I got my rings on today. We're about to start spring training baseball, so I'm happy for that. So that's my point of the date. Today, we don't have Sam here. Sam is attending a funeral this morning, but we have Coach Linnell. So welcome back, Coach. How have you been?
I've been doing absolutely amazing. Thank you for having me. It's been a while. Miss you all.
Yes, we're thrilled to be here. We're going to get into our notes in a minute. We're also going to stray a little bit in some of this stuff because I want some people to, once again, be reintroduced to who you are, what all you do. Because for one example, I just got notice this morning of a friend of mine who has been put into hospice. He's been dealing with cancer for years. He may be actually listening to this show. We know that he is a fighter. We know how he moves on. We know that, it's about God's time, not ours. He's the ultimate healer. But at the same point, you do things that can help people through different, aspects of this. So timing is great so that you can get out here and tell people, reintroduce what you do, what all you can offer, and of course, how they can connect to you, because we all have stuff going on mentally, physically, emotionally, and it's important to have those outlets.
Absolutely. And, my prayers out to your friend in hospice. I dealt with a cousin in hospice who wasn't coherent and alert, and just being present energetically with her, with an aunt and uncle who are also there, praying with her. Like, man, we got some type of signal from her that she knew we were there. And,
Right.
I don't know what it's like to be in that bed, having something that you can't come back from physically.
A couple of times for family members and friends. It's emotional. It's tough.
Oh my God. It was heart-wrenching. It's making me well up. Like, soon as you said it, all I could think about was her.
Right.
Her younger life getting cut short, due to her illness. And what I do in my space with people who need healing, right? Some healing comes in a lot of forms. It's mental, emotional, and spiritual. And through the meditative practices I do, I'm helping facilitate your healing, and when you set your mind to something, right, the universe conspires to bring all the tools together so that you'll have what you need to move towards that end goal of healing whatever it is, an experience, even a small wound. Those things are able. I know I'm not in position to heal something that God has already made a decision on, right?
Right.
Kind
Right.
of space. Excuse me, everyone. But that peace of mind that comes from meditation and bringing a patient into the spiritual space as they're going through that experience. Some people are in hospice 2 days, some people are in hospice 2 months, some people could be in there 2 weeks. You just never know.
And it's a small case, but some people walk out of hospice. It has happened.
Correct. And it's very important that whomever is caring for you, as far as the hospice nurse, spiritually, energetically, is in a space of, it's anything is possible.
Yes.
We're limit what could happen in this space. I'm going to keep you comfortable as a nurse, but you also want the people to visit you to be in a joyous state. You're still here. You're still present. You're still coherent. Like, God is a miracle worker. We know that it could change instantly. Like the young lady who was at the shooting when Takeoff was unfortunately murdered, she was shot in the head and she survived.
Right.
Is still talking and normal, and from that perspective, obviously affected deeply. So we know that there's miracles in every aspect of where we set our mindset daily. If you wake up with joy in your heart and you wake up with the belief in God that guidance is with you and healing can be for you, then you get more of it, even if it just loose minimizes the pain, the physical pain of cancer. I've lost multiple family members to cancer, and the pain behind it is so intense. Um, what I do know is our minds connecting with our spirit take you to a whole nother place
Mm-hmm.
that no one could even, you can't even believe. I personally have my own healing journey through this process. And my goal with all of my clients is to guide them. Each client's process is different. And I only work one-on-one with my clients because I want to give that my full spiritual energy to them
Right.
to help facilitate whatever it is they're trying to bring forth in their life, whether it's manifesting a new car or it's a new job. It doesn't matter. My goal here on earth, the things that God has helped me heal through, and the tools that He keeps bringing to me, you know, too much is given, much is required.
Mm-hmm.
We as human beings have to support each other spiritually, not just physically and mentally. Spiritually, we are here to bring that light to each other. And that is what I do. So I hope and pray that, what is your friend's name?
Ryan.
I hope and pray that Ryan hears this message and tunes into the energy. Just deep breathing in to relax your mind and your spirit and allow your guidance to come and bring you some comfort in this time. And I pray that if it is God's will, that you can walk out of that place a healthy and moving into a healthier space physically and emotionally.
Well, also remember, as a nation, we saw something a few weeks ago with Damar Hamlin that, yes, that was critical. That was huge, but that could have happened to almost anyone at any given moment because, yes, I know it's such a small percent, but being hit at that right time, like he was when the heart was on the down pace, that happens to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have been any of us like that.
Yes, and it's happened multiple times with high school football players and college football players as well as professional. And not just in football, but those impacts make a big difference in how it's affected. I remember when my son was about 12 and they had just implemented this new heart scan for young boys to make sure that their hearts are in strong condition. I'm not sure why that came into play at the moment, but I was grateful that they did it because my son had multiple medical things going on. So his heart was one thing that wasn't checked thoroughly. And I'm grateful that they've implemented something that, and hopefully all parents know that for young men, they are doing this. I was EKG to make sure that their hearts are strong, right? We want to know if they're strong now before there's some impact, and that can take them into a space where they may not survive. So,
well, real quick before we get in these notes, man, thank you to all of you people who are doctors, nurses, ICU, NICU, hospice. I mean, you guys do jobs I couldn't do. We need you. We love you. I don't think physically, personally, I could be a NICU person because, God, praise you for the work you do, but man, that would be tough.
Oh yeah. Someone's in the NICU. Those nurses and doctors were like angels. No information. And I spent 12 hours a day at the NICU with my son. And I wouldn't leave until this one nurse came in. I promise you I wouldn't leave. I would be there 18 hours if I had to, if it was her day off.
Right.
She truly was a part of the healing journey for my son as an infant. So when I mentioned about Ryan and who's around him, it's so important that those caretakers and your loved ones and friends are in support of, not in like, oh my God, this is gonna end. No, you want to say he can live,
Right.
There is life here. There is still life here, and keep promoting that.
Well, and remember, it's just like a business, and you've done this many times, worked with you on multiple things. You're only as good as the people you have around you. So if you're doing a business, an event, and you don't have a strong support from mentally, physically, emotionally around you, it's going to fail. This is the same concept.
Absolutely the same. It applies all across the board. So look at your circle, see who's supporting you, who's truly cheering you on, genuinely and authentically. And nowadays, it's rare to have multiple genuine and authentic people around you. And I know it can be hard to really decipher, but pay attention to the red flags. Pay attention to how you speak to the things that you've accomplished, and hey, I just got an award today. They're like, oh, that's nice. That's not a celebration. It's like, oh my God, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's a celebration. You feel it energetically, you can hear it in their voice, and just know, be careful who you have around you. We know we've had multiple people have quote unquote friends that unfortunately have been a part of their demise.
Right.
So, I just give that tidbit to everyone. Just pay attention to who's in your corner, and you don't have to get rid of them. You just shift them accordingly in your life.
They're there for a reason, a lesson.
Yes.
You learn, you support. We all have ups and downs. We've all had times we've fallen in those pit holes, but sometimes those pit holes are the important growth.
Absolutely.
So now I've got some notes here, and I don't know if you heard this a little bit. We talked about some last week. The Republican House representative has introduced a bill rescheduling cannabis to a Schedule 3. Representative from Florida, he submitted. Now it's his third try, but he's trying to schedule from 1 to 3. And my understanding is this actually last week has now moved in front of and is scheduled to come to the committee to see what can be done, which this would be huge.
That's a big deal. If I'm correct in this allows people to have a personal amount without being charged. And, I watched this documentary on Native Americans and some of the natural medicines that are quote unquote banned. This is their land that people took over, and they can't even use their natural medicines. And some of these things like marijuana are natural medicine.
Yeah.
It's we obviously know that now, because 10 years ago they wouldn't allow it, and now we're allowing it for medicinal use. So we're at the point where this should already have been in play.
Yeah.
It's sad that we have to keep fighting for something so silly that they're monetizing already. So we need this to push through. I guess they have to vote it through as many times as the Senate had to vote the House Speaker. Let's just do it. Just keep voting until you can change those minds. Hearts, and get this clear.
Well, and remember too, by moving it from a 1 to a 3, that means we can do more research, more studies, because they don't want to study stuff that's under a class 1, LSD, cocaine, marijuana. They don't want to do that. So we can't, in data research, find out the full effect of what this could do. We have ideas, but research-wise, we can't do it until it gets to a Schedule 3.
Right.
That's huge. That's important. And a second thing too is the next topic is they've actually, in the research they have done, has found that potentially it will protect the brain from aging, which means we could have less Alzheimer's incidences.
Absolutely. This, I think before they legalized things, it was already helping people.
Yeah.
In a ways.
Look it up, YouTube. You can see where people have seizures and they do drops, and all of a sudden in minutes, you have no clue that anything was going on.
Exactly. The healing part, it's a natural thing from the earth. God presented us with this land and all these things for us to survive on it, right? So it's like there's nothing wrong with the natural way. It's been the way of my life since I was a teenager. The natural way, as natural as I could be at the time where we didn't have many options. Right. I chose to not take regular medicine and things of that nature and find other options. So,
well, for example, they're showing that it helps control inflammation and sensation of pain by activating 2 key receptors in the brain. So that would help with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and whatnot. For example, yes, this is a much better way, but I have seen research that shows that people who smoke cigarettes, even though that causes more problems with the lungs and everything else, their chance of getting Alzheimer's is lessened because it's a constant brain. I need. It's thinking, it's active, it's moving forward. This is a healthier alternative.
Absolutely. And everyone got to keep fighting that good fight, because this is helping so many people, from the smallest children to the oldest elders, with a variety of diseases and challenges. And we've seen and we know and we've heard the results over and over and over again. So, it's time for the government to get in agreement and in alignment.
Now, the important thing, of course, is the THC in there, but PEA, which I'm going to pronounce this wrong, I'm sure, but might be able to help me there. Pali Lamande. I'm not really sure. I know I've screwed that one up, but
I don't know. You might have got it right.
I may have, but it's found in eggs, egg yolks, soybean, peanut butter oil. So there are other things that can help as well. But of course, the THC is what's the important part, and it has no psychoactive effects. So you're getting the pureness of it through this PEA mixed with it in terms of the cannabinoid.
And it's the instant impact that's important when you're managing whatever it is your challenges. You need it to kick in. If you eat an egg or have a peanut butter sandwich, how long is that going to take? It's just like an edible, right? Have an edible, it's going to take a longer to get into your system.
Depending on the dosage, right?
Depending on the dosage. Usually a minimum 30 minutes. Edible is not instant. So if you smoke, then it goes in quicker. Your body immediately can feel the effects of that medicine. So that is an important fact. Not everyone needs that, right? Because in pain management, they give you something to take on an hourly basis or daily basis so that you stay out ahead of your pain. So some people will need that version, but some people don't have it where it's every day, whatever they may be dealing with. And it's important that they have the ability to say, if I take 2 puffs, I'm immediately going to be able to stop the escalation of whatever I'm experiencing in the moment, like people with seizures or other issues of that nature.
Well, and the edible thing is an important factor, what you brought up, because, for example, yes, you're right, about half an hour on the edible. But remember that edible is made to break down and go into the system. You're eating, like you said, peanut butter sandwich or whatnot. It's got to break down the proteins and everything else in it before the rest of that's going to be effective in your body. So it's probably 45 minutes to an hour to take effect.
Exactly, if not longer. So,
right. So it'd be a good in the middle type thing to keep that moving, but it's not going to be your answer.
Exactly. It's a help, right? It's
yes.
But people need instant relief. And it's not about instant gratification. It's the level of pain, your pain level, right? Or your whatever, if you're having seizures, like how often you have them. Some people have them rarely, some people have them regularly. So again, it's about having the right prescription and dosage for your size, as well as whatever it is that you're experiencing, and going to a doctor that can help you manage that is also very important. Not self-dosing doesn't get you where you need to be. So get that trusted opinion of a doctor that deals in the cannabis space, and that can truly give you the correct dosage for what you're experiencing.
And continual. Don't start it, let it get in your system, and then stop and wait 2 to 3 days before you start again. You've pushed back that process. It needs to stay continual.
Yes, indeed. That applies with that, as well as the alternative. I would say synthetic drugs. It's the same thing. You still have to keep it in your system. Even for me, when I take natural stuff, like zinc, or I'm doing my pure ginger, it's like I have to keep that in my system for my system to keep regulating.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's across the board, whether you be a diabetic, your insulin, any of that stuff, you've got to stay with it for the effects to happen, no doubt. Now, you've seen also Georgia is working on the medical end, and we've got some people in our Senate here that want to make sure things are more effective. Because, for example, these meetings have been private behind closed doors. And when people have showed up, they've even redirected them and said, hey, we're not meeting. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Bait and switch, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They do all kinds of things. This is the thing about the world. The world has always been this way, but it's even worse now. The manipulation and trickery is like, if that person tells you that and it was on the calendar and you checked, don't go home. Go around the corner and talk to the person at the desk or someone over, get more clarity. Or you have a right to be present. So knowing our rights and what to say in the moment so that you are allowed entrance into the space so that you can say your piece is important. Like, because they know the power of the people. It's just like when we vote, when we come together collectively on the same accord, we're going to get it done. We're going to get that movement happening. They don't want that. And they know that it's growing and building. So they're doing whatever they can to detour you.
Right. And you got to stay consistent asking your questions. If somebody gives you an answer that you're not happy with, that might be the answer, but go to it, get a second opinion, talk to other people. One source is not going to be your end all be all.
Absolutely not. We know this country was stolen and then built on not allowing everyone to have the same rights. That's never changed. I don't care if it's 2099. This is what it's going to be because of how they obtained the land. So every foundation of everything is, let's make sure that we limit certain people from getting access to certain things. It doesn't matter who the people are, what the culture is, or what the color of your skin is. They want to limit multiple people from having access. So you have to always be 10 steps ahead of the game.
Absolutely. And remember back to what we're talking about on Schedule 1, we have an opiate problem here right now in America. We know that. But we have doctors who are going to prescribe it. Not all these doctors believe in the cannabis, what the cannabinoid system can do, how it can help. So their first question, because let's be honest, it's money. They're going to try to push you towards what puts money in their pocket. Not maybe, not always, but not maybe what benefits you.
Absolutely.
So we got rival companies here in Georgia that want to produce low THC cannabis oils for medical purposes, but have not been able to pry open that black box since 2019's HOPE Act to see 6 firms out of 69 bidders. So 6 out of 69, we're not even really, we're at, break that down roughly at 11% pace, possibly.
Right.
But again, what is their criteria? Who's doing it? Do they have hands in people's pockets? Do they have sides with them in the Senate that are benefiting them more than just making this for the people? Those were valid questions, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And I believe all of that is true.
Yeah, because the State Open Record Act, as far to matching it, the legislators have not been able to rebuff this process at all. So to me, that shows there's a problem.
There's a problem, and there's always someone in someone's pocket. Like when the drug game was illegal, you had kingpins. They paid off government officials. They paid police chiefs. They paid off the store owners. They pay, you know what I mean? So what happened in the street was a business, and they tried to make it look so dirty because it's the street, but it's the same thing they do corporately. It's the same thing they do federally. But it's just done a little differently, it's more cloaked, I would say. But that is all part of a process of getting access to something that you shouldn't get access to sooner than the next person and guaranteeing your spot. It always takes that type of bribery.
Well, let's also remember, and I know we still have, to this day, it's not the same as it was. We have speakeasies because alcohol was in prohibition at the time. Guess what? It was still being sold.
Exactly.
No difference.
Again, when my great grandfather and uncles were making moonshine, because and I have friends parents who still know how to make wine and liquor at their homes with yeast. So that was something that they learned way back. And then here we are, they monetized it. They legalized it, monetized it. And now the people who originally created it don't have any of that profit. They nothing to show for their skill set in actually making the product that they now put out there regularly.
Well, and also moonshine, for example, that is much more dangerous in manufacturing and making it at your home than this plant.
Exactly. Let us grow a plant.
Right.
Plants in my house right now. They'll never harm me.
No.
In their growing process. So
exactly. But Alan Powell, he's the one in the Georgia Senate is bringing this, and he's talking about how it is poorly written. It's not introduced properly. And we've got so many problems because, like, for example, it's still protecting trading secrets of companies bidding for these lucrative licenses. Shouldn't they be put out in front of everybody so the state and those people who are voting to push this forward understand how it works?
Of course it should. The South has always kept things under a cloak. where you can see where from the northeast to the west, it's legalized in multiple states. But here you are in the deep, deep south. You know, it's the same dynamic. It's like it's never going to change. So you have to change how you approach it.
No, absolutely. Because, like, for example, like what we talked about, he even came forth and stated that was there a conflict of interest among these winning the business license and politically appointed commissioners? Possible. And was the scoring of these 69 companies influenced by backroom deals?
Hey, Representative Powell knows what he's talking about.
Right.
He's saying it, but putting it in question form.
Right.
That's another one little trickery thing you put out there, right? Ask it in a question form, even though you already know what time it is, but you don't have the evidence to present it. So you present it that way and out into the whole community so that they can test the waters and see what they can find out.
Well, and remember, as guys, when we're approached with that question of, does this outfit make me look fat? There is not a right answer.
Exactly. You look amazing in anything. That's usually what a smart man understands.
Well, but you got to be careful, because if you say it's not the dress, well, what, you're influencing that the outfit has nothing, it's all me. That could be a positive or a negative depending on how you approached it. So be careful with your verbiage.
It's be strategic. Strategy.
Absolutely.
Strategy is life, right?
Absolutely. Because, yeah, after 21 losing bidders filed a protest, for the administrative law judge used a partial exemption to open records. So partial, we're not even seeing the whole story as granted by this HOPE Act for these documents to be sealed. Why?
Hey, gotta hide the messiness. Gotta hide those, like Representatives Powell said, those backdoor deals. You gotta put that undercover. It's that cloaking. It's that deep south cloaking. That's just what they do. That's why they still have a lot of these old laws on the books. That's why they can keep some of this stuff sealed. These are old laws that applied to all the way back to slavery. They've taken some of those laws off the books, but a lot of them are still present. I remember I saw a law like you can't chew gum while walking down the street in one town in Georgia. I was like, it's 20 at the time. I think it was like 2015 or something. I was like, you guys got to be kidding me. Like, get this off your books and let's move forward in the modern world.
Look, I'm going to tell you, people, I'm not going to go into all of them, but people who have time today, Google some of these strange laws across the nation. You won't believe how some of these are still there to this day.
Yeah, it's unreal. So got to keep fighting the good fight, and, you know, staying as a collective on and getting these things passed and getting this information out there so that we all have the knowledge. You know, it's not fair that the advantage comes from not having the knowledge. You know, knowledge is and wisdom becomes wisdom once it's applied. So they reduce the knowledge that we all have so that we can access that world. And, you know, this multi-billion dollar industry, there really is money for everybody to make in this space. So it's like, how selfish and greedy can you be? And most of these people that are doing it already have money. FYI.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Already got money. They're not like looking to build. They aren't like convicted. You know, they didn't go to jail for an ounce of weed or something like that. Like, these are people that already had money, and they make money in some of the bigger industries that were current before this industry. And now they're just trying to get to billionaire status. And this industry will get you there.
Well, the thing is, too, people remember the knowledge is important, as Coach Linnell mentioned, but you have that right to question the knowledge that you're being presented, because you're not being presented the whole picture. You are seeing the outlining of that puzzle. You're not seeing how that whole puzzle comes together, and you have the right to ask those questions.
Exactly. Now, if you're going to get the answers, different story. Or you're going to get the word, the what do they call it? The beating around the bush answer. It's possible. But keep asking those questions, and one day you're going to ask the right person. They're going to give you the real deal.
Or they're going to get tired of the go ask your mom, go ask your mom, go ask your mom. Okay, here's the answer.
Exactly.
You got to keep going, because Ramstein, on behalf of the Georgia First Amendment Foundation, filed a motion to unseal the Cannabis Commission records in Fulton County Supreme Court so the public could have access to seeing the scoring process of these applicants. Now, that motion currently is pending, though.
Of course it's pending.
Right.
They do that, the people that shouldn't have access will be like, okay, so now I know what I need to do, and if it's a group of 10 people that decide to invest, now we know what to do to get at least in the process, in line for the license, so.
Well, because remember, the HOPE Act passed 3 years ago, but 7 years after registered patients in the state were allowed to use low THC marijuana-based oil, there is no product on the market yet in Georgia.
It's unreal. It's like you're stopping humans from getting what they need to survive because the regular medicines aren't working like they used to work. So that's why this is coming into play, more natural base, and just know down the road they are going to synthetic it to death.
Yeah.
While it's still pure enough for you to get the pure form and the healing properties of it, it's like let people live. Literally, let people live. This makes the quality of life of people who are dealing with long-term or diseases that can't be cured.
Mm-hmm.
It allows them a different quality of life. And it's, why not allow that for your citizens? Take care of the people that take care of you. That's really what it is. If we weren't all here in each state voting these people in and spending our money in these taxes, we wouldn't even be, this wouldn't even be on the table at all.
No, and unfortunately, the article, they tried to a spin, as we all know, on multiple things, but they're trying to say that the production of the cannabis oil has been delayed because 21 companies protested the decision to award 6 licenses because they say the lawsuit alleges favoritism, backroom deals, and scoring these companies. And I agree with them. I'm sure they do. But to say that it's on hold because these companies are suing, no, these companies are suing because it's favoritism, it's improper, and it's not done properly to expend the services and make these companies valid because you're hiding it.
Yeah, exactly. And those 21 companies are 21 companies that actually apply for those licenses. And they're trying to understand. So tell me, my application versus one of the 6 that got approved, let's do a compare and contrast. What that I was missing that I didn't get approved. And let's say out of some of these companies were some of the first applications in, and they knew they were the first applications in. How did these 6 get approved above being?
Well, that's the whole thing. Whether it's a loan or applying for a job or whatever, there's supposed to be different levels of what is needed to get there, an MBA, whatever it might be. So you're telling me that these companies didn't have any information of what they needed to do to register to get the license, but you're also telling me that these 6 are 100% better than these other 21s? I had that far to believe.
Oh no, I agree. And only allowing 6 licenses is, it's just another monopoly. Yeah. This state is massive. I'm from Connecticut originally. You think they only allow 6 licenses in that little tiny state?
Right.
We know what time it is, like reading through between the lines around here.
Exactly, because one of the new polls shows Georgia's increasingly support the legalization for both medical and recreational. Of those surveyed, now, of course, stats are stats. They show what I want you to see. They don't say how many, but they do say that of those surveyed, 53% now support legalization for recreational use as compared to 46 in 2017.
Big deal.
Oh, it's huge. So we're over 50% of whatever you polled, which I actually think that number would be higher if we polled everybody in the state. I'd say we'd be pushing 65, 70, honestly. Nearly 8 years after the state legalized certain low potency forms of cannabis for medical use, and like we stated, Georgians are still waiting on the opening of the first cannabis dispensaries.
It's just unreal.
Isn't it? I mean, we see what Vegas has done, Colorado, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, New York, Jersey, all of these.
Give me a break. Like, the complication is coming from the people in charge, from the political and government status is, they put those 6 people, I'm sure they're tied in with other politicians.
Yeah.
Because it's a money grab. I'm gonna get you this license, but you need to be giving me 20% of the profits. And we're not gonna move this forward unless these companies are in play. That's just an example, y'all. I use my imagination, but I've seen a lot of movies. We know how this goes.
Yeah.
On TV or multiple times. They tell us all the time through TV and movies. So pay attention to what's going on around you. And sometimes you got to do a workaround, right? Getting someone to represent you. If you don't, quote unquote, look the part you think they're looking for, get someone else to be the representative of your company so that you can get the information you need to move forward in a business that allows so many people to change their entire lives.
Well, and at the same point, let's be honest here, Georgia, you're not the first. We've seen both states that have already done this. So it's not like you're trying to do a new concept. No. You already have some guidelines of how the tax structure should be done, the insurance, whatever it might be. Colorado set that precedence. Vegas, California, you can build off their modules. This is not brand new.
Literally not. It's the politics around it, and they're gonna hold out until they can get it where they need it.
No, absolutely. But have you seen that where New Jersey now has an expungement law, and people who dodge convictions for minor drug offenses through diversionary programs, the first-time offenders back in 2001, the law, they can still be admitted to another program for new offense. Jersey just ruled this yesterday.
Congrats, Jersey. Connecticut has done some things expungement for decades, like Logan. Right. Again, it's one of those things, if you don't know, you don't know. So Jersey, we glad you finally got in alignment with the tri-state area, because New York also allows expungement. Right. So thank you, Jersey. And I'm sure all the people in Jersey are ready to get rocking and put that expungement to use for them who have had those convictions that have held them back from opportunity.
No, absolutely, because the law does not address how the judge should handle people who have received conditional discharges before, but the diversionary program for first-time offenders allows them to avoid criminal prosecution and conviction for minor, now remember, minor, not major, minor drug offenses if they complete certain conditions as the judge orders in such treatment.
Yeah, those minor, again, talking like we talked earlier about having your personal stash and you go to jail for 5 years because you had your personal stash and they were distributing. You're like, no, what am I distributing? This is mine, So I'm happy that Jersey is moving into the 21st century. Hopefully we'll get more states to follow suit. But again, that Northeast, that northern part of the U.S. versus the southern part of the U.S., the northern part is going to get more of these passed quicker. And the southern side will, just keep fighting, you all. One day we're going to make a change.
No, absolutely. But remember, there are other circumstances that could be tied in. For example, Richard Gomes was charged in Middlesex County in November of 2020 with 3rd and 4th degree assault by auto. He was told he was ineligible for the pretrial intervention because of a prior conditional discharge for marijuana possession. He applied. The trial court overruled the ineligibility determination and allowed him to apply for a pretrial intervention, and the county prosecutor appealed.
It's we know the laws have loopholes.
Oh yeah.
Get the right lawyers and to present. You're gonna get your money together, but if you get the right lawyer to do this for you, I'm sure that he can get that cleared as well. If you're doing it on your own, it's a different process. But when you get a lawyer that understands the dynamics, knows the judges, that's to your benefit.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, because Motaz Shiraz was charged in March of 2021 in Morris County with 3rd degree possession of cocaine and heroin. Also was initially declared ineligible for pretrial intervention because of his prior conditional discharge for marijuana possession. Asked for it anyway, and the trial court denied the request, and they're appealing it. In both cases, The appeals court ruled that someone who received a prior conditional discharge of disorderly person offense for marijuana possession was ineligible for pretrial intervention.
Yeah, another sad case. So marijuana is the dynamic that stopped everything. You know, obviously the other two are a little bit more a different process, but
Right.
that one piece, it would have just changed the whole trajectory of what they had to experience.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Because you've got so many different appeals, so many different things that could happen. You've got to keep moving forward and fighting for it, because we've seen how far we've come, but we've got a long, long road to go.
Very long. I mean, when they started legalizing federally, right? Because we know federally it's still not clear. That's what the biggest issue is. But when each state started legalizing, if all they did was, hey, we're going to legalize this, and at the same time, it should simultaneously be anyone that had possession of less than an ounce that's currently incarcerated for only that charge, they can be released. That should have happened.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to make it legal and still make people do time for something that's now legal?
Right. I mean, that's like going back and saying, okay, you know what? We're changing the speed limit on 75 from, let's say it's 75 down to 55. So if you've done 60, we're going to need you to move forward and now pay that ticket. Are you kidding me?
Right. What? No way. Like the way of the process of things here in these United States of America.
No, absolutely so. Now, another big thing is medical marijuana in Florida. I don't know if you've heard about that or not yet, but Florida health officials will accept applications for 22 medicinal licenses coming up in late April. A long way to move that's been announced this past Friday by Ron DeSantis. The ruling about the license generated immediate buzz in the industry, as a number of licenses in the state will double. Now, that ruling has come 6 years after Florida voters approved a constitutional amendment broadly authorizing medical marijuana after lawmakers in 2017 approved the framework for the industry.
So, like, here's a blueprint, Georgia, right? They've already got multiple approved licenses in play right now in Florida, operating fine, no problems. Have we heard of this process? And now they're adding 22 more.
Right.
So let's just follow the blueprint, Georgia. There's enough in this game for everybody.
No, absolutely, because the ruling about the license, of course, we said it created immediate buzz, and this is an exciting milestone for Florida's medical cannabis program, more than 5 years in the making. These additional licenses are an important step in moving the program forward for Florida's patients and future license holders. Under the ruling released Friday, 22 will be available. Adding to the current 22, the department will accept applications between April 24th and 28th. Investors and marijuana operators will, for years, have viewed Florida as a potential one of the country's premier landscapes to set up shop, and I agree.
Well, it's premier because that tropical environment helps those plants grow real nice in your backyard. You don't have to do them in the house. Similar to California. And but again, it's a blueprint that Florida didn't have to create. They just followed the blueprint of the other states that have already got things in play, right? They're doing a rollout in stages, right? They allowed, I think it was 22 licenses they originally allowed years ago, and now I'm not sure what year, don't quote me on the year. And now here they are doing, I guess, phase 2, adding additional licenses because they're needed, and the lines when you go to, I know people in Florida, a medical card so that they can go to a dispensary. And it's the lines and the multiple people who are trying to get in there just to get what they need from a medicinal state. more than needed. How many pharmacies do you have? What, every 5 blocks, there's a Walgreens or CVS?
No, absolutely. And like we've talked about before, the heiress of Publix last year donated like what was it, $500,000 to fight the cannabis legalization in Florida, because guess what? Publix as a whole makes what, 65% of their income off their pharmaceuticals?
It's big money. We always knew it was big money. You know,
Absolutely.
why they charge so much for medicine here in the States, and people used to go order certain medicines from Canada because it was cheaper, or go to Mexico because it was cheaper. So, you know, here in America, they've always made it difficult for people to get what they need, even the legal medicines, right?
Right.
Why are elderly people paying upwards of $300 to $500 for their regular monthly medicines? Are you kidding me? These people have worked in your country and paid taxes and helped build and grow this country in a beautiful way, are now struggling to get their medicines, and it's out of control. We have to move forward.
Well, and also this natural plant will help with things such as high blood pressure, hypertension, all of these different things.
Oh
So
yeah.
let's make it accessible to them, because it's going to be more beneficial for them, regardless of if you're quote unquote end of life or any age. Honestly, we've seen it value in little children all the way up.
Oh yeah. I have a friend who personally has very bad high blood pressure. Sometimes medicine regulate it, sometimes it cannot. So that would be beneficial for someone like that, who you're taking the medicine and your blood pressure still isn't going down. This
Mhm.
medicinal side can actually help regulate it faster. We know it's almost like instant from a inhalation standpoint. So let's save some lives out here. So many people who have a stroke or heart attacks, you know, just based on these regular things that they have to maintain, like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol. Let's get
Right. No, absolutely. We got somebody here who's mentioning perfect, spot on. Jesse Ventura mentioned $50 in Colorado. It has helped his wife maintain the monthly cost to use the cannabis and help her in her treatment, because competition brings down prices. And we know that. Even Florida has stated this. Doubling the size of the state medical marijuana industry will likely drive down the value of operators' licenses, which have been flipped for between 30 million and 85 million over the past few years.
Wow. Again, it's a Walgreens, CVS process. Get them all out there. You know, we can go to, in my town alone, there's 4 CVSs, basically. So, you know, it's just relationship build, just like McDonald's and anything else. Like, having multiple is good. It's not a bad thing. It's just spreading the wealth and giving people access. And
Well, no, absolutely, because Florida also requires operators to handle all aspects of their businesses: growing, processing, selling, using an expensive system known as vertical integration. The industry experts estimate that it would cost between 30 million to set up a infrastructure to grow and process and the derivative of the products. Retail locations can cost another 3 to 4 million annually. Now that's not including your salaries for workers. So it's an expensive across the board, but we also know how much it can bring in for the state, for the individuals. It presents job opportunities. It does so many different things.
absolutely. Back to the point of the rich getting richer, because the
Mhm.
expenses to get everything going, you got to have big money to even get into this game. So,
No, absolutely. And like what one of our viewers was mentioning here, competition brings down the prices, and it does. But I would also like to see a way that we can help these smaller, like almost mom and pop, because if all we have is big industry in this, you know, coffee, I'm not going to throw out a name, but we all know there are certain coffee companies that have a market on this, understandably, rightfully so. But at the same point, that means these smaller individual coffee shops, it's hard for them to make it. It'll happen in this business as well.
oh, absolutely. It's you know, it's copy paste in multiple industries from that perspective. So yeah, I feel like with the revenue that comes from industry, there should absolutely be money divided out to support small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it shouldn't be a fight all the time. This is just, someone's parents and they decide to do a little thing and it helped them and now they want to help more people. That's why the mom and pops do it, whether it's food or whatever industry it is. The corporations do it. It's a numbers thing for the corporate at all times. They don't care about the people. Sometimes they don't even care about the product they distribute. It's a numbers game. So they need to put some of that money to the side to really help boost the small businesses in this industry. It's not going to take anything from them. It's just going to help the community. These people are part of the community. They're more available and accessible if they open up a business right there locally.
Absolutely. And like we talked about Jesse Ventura a little bit earlier, who was at one time the governor of Minnesota, draft legalization for cannabis for adult use is working its way through both chambers at the state capitol. But unlike the 21 states that previously enjoyed it, sought by highly regulated retailers, Minnesota is considering a market that would permit, among other things, the sale of cannabis-infused products at breweries, liquor stores, and supermarkets. The draft legislation appears to build on the state's unique hemp-derived products market, largely unregulated, which allows the sale of hemp-derived edibles containing up to 5 milligrams of Delta-9 THC at, for example, gas stations and convenience stores.
Hey, it's time to open up the floodgates. Allow everyone to make the man. It's so funny. You go to certain gas stations and actually have these products and CBD products. I was like, God, is this legal? Some people are doing it under the cover of it's still illegal, but they distribute it anyway. Right? And because in these smaller communities, like my family, my dad's family's from a small town in Alabama, the gas station one of my cousins works in has products. And I'm like, interesting. I didn't think it was legal here, but because the community, they need it. Like if you can sell synthetic weed in a store, why can't you sell the real stuff?
Yeah. And the real stuff would be better. And it'd be more healthy. It'd be more product value rise, I would believe. So it's absolutely important. And one of our viewers here also mentioned this, and I saw a little bit the other day. Jesse Ventura had a video where he was fighting for the legalization, the importances of it. He is passionate about it, but he was spot on. Now, I did not see the whole video, so I can't really comment on it. But what I saw was great. And he broke it down from what it meant for medical purposes, recreational, business, everything. It was what I only saw a little snippet of, but it was incredible.
I'll have to check that out.
But brought up a great point too here about Illinois just passed a neutral reparations in a sense of social equality, and it's not based on race or sex in terms of getting these licenses, which would be important. It needs to be a blind ballot, so to speak, and it shouldn't matter your gender, your social background, your race. None of that should matter. It should matter if you're able to do the job and if you can get the licensing. That's all it should be. Equality, opportunity for everybody.
Oh yeah, preaching on that one. We hope one day that this country will get to that space, because boy, if they do, the way things could be for everyone, it just would change the dynamics. It would, lower crime. It would lower poverty. Like we would be in such a better place if we could just have that.
Right, because if you're already affected in any way, whether it be through race or sex, you're already in the corner. You've already been disproportionately affected by these things that were not of your doing. But unfortunately, a lot of people see that as maybe, as you stated, the loophole to make sure they don't get the licensing that they deserved.
Absolutely. It's, you got to keeping people suppressed. That's always the goal. They, I don't know, what is it, 2-3% of rich people in the United States and 50 states, 2-3%. You got to be kidding me. We should at least be at 10, 15, 20% of the country at a state where they are financially comfortable in position to buy into businesses, buy licenses, open dispensaries, put out a product, without the struggle. because you can't get financing for these things. You have to have the money from other means to invest here.
No, absolutely. And speaking of the South and what you mentioned earlier, Mississippi, the House legislators in Mississippi last week voted HB 1158, which includes a number of amendments to the state's medical cannabis. Among other things, the bill is intended to make cannabis easier to obtain for patients.
Hurry up, Mississippi. You've been in this thing for a long time. Let's go.
That's right. And it will allow persons 21 years and older to purchase cannabis topical products regardless of medical registration status.
Yeah, medical registration status means someone went and got evaluated, right?
Right.
And you know how many people who don't go to the doctor who have things that they need to regulate? Now, I don't promote regulating without getting a full workup to have an understanding, but just specifically speaking to the mental health side, where people start to monitor themselves and they're like, oh my God, I'm triggered so easily. I'm not understanding what this is. But if I have a half a gummy, or if I have, 2 or 3 puffs of marijuana from an inhalation stage, I'm just so calm. I'm so relaxed. I don't feel so worked up. Some of those people are not being diagnosed. A lot of those people, FYI, we obviously see it every day, and sometimes there's a lot of mental health things going on that are not diagnosed, but giving people an opportunity to have something that they can help them manage what's going on in their mind, stabilize them to the point where they may be like, maybe I do need to get a full evaluation because this actually did work for me. It actually did help me. So let me go now and find someone because again, everyone's not going to do it the proper way. We promote you do it the proper way. Find you a doctor, get diagnosed from whatever you're experiencing, and then get a prescription and where you can. But for in those states, those multiple states that currently do not have anything, this could help so many people. We see from young to old dealing with mental health. Just turn on your TV every day. You see the dynamics of mental health issues that are undiagnosed, untreated, unbeknownst to the family. A lot of families are just like, oh, this is just how they are. No, they aren't. There's something else is going on here. But they don't want to face that. But if this person has access to some things that can help them manage, it could literally save lives, not just theirs, but the people they take it out on when they have a bad trigger moment that they can't pull themselves out of.
No, absolutely. And 2 points to that. One is, let's go back to, you're talking about people that need this. Well, some of them are not getting what they need or talking to doctors because they don't have the medical insurance. They don't have the capability of seeing these individuals. So a lot of times, they're relying on what they can get from a CBD store, a smoke shop, however you want to put it. Mm-hmm. But is that dosage proper for them? And great here, Cannabis Hemp is Awesome, one of our viewers has brought up, what about those who get misdiagnosed? So an individual goes into a doctor, they diagnose them improperly. Now, is what they're doing, whether it be an opiate or whatever else, or even if they're trying to do cannabis, are they doing it properly because they don't have the proper diagnosis and the proper dosage to help them?
Agreed. And that happens in, the synthetic medicine space too, with the misdiagnosis. So it's like, you have to pay attention to how you respond to whatever you're taking. How are you feeling? What are you experiencing? Does it reduce it? Does it increase it? Does it stay the same? And get back to that doctor and say, hey, I've been on it a week. You said wait a week for it to get in my system, or 2 weeks. I've documented every day how I've been feeling. Something's not right. This isn't working. Like, it is important that you take control of your health and not just allow the doctor to drag you along the process. And that's, I think, what happens. You are free to speak up in that doctor's office and ask multiple questions. And you can also decline certain things. You just speak up for yourself. These doctors are practicing, FYI. They went to school and they're practicing. And they will misdiagnose. They've misdiagnosed multiple times. So it's important that you speak up for yourself, take notes on what you're experiencing if you've been prescribed something, and take control.
No, absolutely. Yeah, because on our YouTube channel, Cannabis and Hip has been going back and forth with us a lot here. Love his insight and some of the things he's mentioned. Those who have seen it, go check out the notes that he's made about Ventura's video and whatnot. But he brought up a great point here, or they did, sorry. Should be the same age requirement to enlist in the military, 18. Yes, why does it need to be 21 and over?
Right.
Because of the scheduling, like alcohol. You're telling me that 18, 19, 20-year-olds can't be positively effective by this, and it will help them in their mental state with everything that's going on today? Of course it would.
Oh my God, even more so with everything going on today.
Yes.
We know that some countries around us, like Mexico, is 18.
And it should be. If you can enlist in the military, you can drive a vehicle, you can vote,
exactly.
You should be able to get this product.
I agree. Total agreement.
Absolutely. Well, we didn't get everything we wanted to. We're up at that hour. Coach, in just a second, I'm going to get you to do your final thoughts, have people where they can reach out and connect with you. But I wanted to bring up something real quick. And I don't know if you've seen this movie or not. There's a movie Chris Pratt's in called Passenger. The movie was okay, but there's one scene that I can't get out of my head. Short version of it real quick. He's on a space crater that he accidentally wakes up when he's not supposed to. Everything on the board, it's kind of like a cruise ship. Everything on the board is all robots, mechanical. The bartender's a robot, and he's literally sitting there wiping a bar glass. And Pratt looks at him and goes, "Why are you wiping the glass if I'm the only one on this ship?" He made a comment about, hey, because it's a bartender trick. People get nervous when they don't see it. But he literally looked at him and he goes, this is what the insight I think is incredible. He looks at Chris Pratt and he goes, you're not where you want to be. You feel like you're supposed to be somewhere else. Let's say you could snap your fingers and be anywhere you want to be. I bet you would still feel this way, not in the right place. Point is, we can't get so hung up on where we'd rather be that we forget to make the most of where we are. Take a break from worrying about what you can't control and live a little.
I love that.
It's fantastic. And to me, that's kind of the closing thought I have today. We have so much that's going on that we can't be always where we want to be. We can't be in that mindset. We worry about things we don't have any control over. Let's, as people, as society, as a nation, try to step back for a moment and let's enjoy some of the smaller things. Take a break. Enjoy the roses, the flowers, that song, that movie you like, whatever it is. Because we all have that feeling that no matter what we're doing, where we are, we still have that feeling that we're not where we should be. But we're where we can be and where we need to be. Find that place.
I'm just going to piggyback off of that because the only thing that's resonating with me is be present with in your life. So that thought of I'm not where I'm supposed to be is because you're either living in the past or worried about the future. So being present is what brings you right here into this moment. Okay, everything's okay. I'm okay. My family's okay. I'm healthy in this moment, or I'm healing in this moment. And have gratitude for the present moment and leave the worries behind.
Absolutely, because guess what? Everybody that's listening to this is seeing this, that's on this currently. You've all survived 100% of your worst days. Keep it up.
And use that. Use survival. Use those victories to keep pushing you forward. Just know that you're covered and protected and keep walking that path. Present day, present moment at all times.
Absolutely. So, Coach, where can they reach out to you to get some of your counseling, get some of your coaching to help them through these?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Coach_Linnell. I'm on Facebook at Hearts Vision Coaching or under Coach Linnell. You can find me either way. And my website is CoachLinnell.com. So please reach out. Look forward to hearing from you.
Coach, we appreciate your insight coming on this morning. Been a while since we've had you, and we're always thrilled to have you. Look forward to it more.
Yes, well, I'll be back. Thanks for having me. It was great. I enjoyed it and missed talking to you all and the viewers. So thanks for listening, everyone.
Absolutely. And those reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, DJNQ75. Everybody have a blessed week. We look forward to seeing you again next week. We always appreciate your comments, your questions, the insight, because we do the best we can, but we're going to miss stuff because this business is massive and it's different at every level, state, city, local. So please keep those comments coming. You got questions, we'll try to give you the answers. Can't promise you we will, but we'll do our best to help and to find it. So look forward to seeing everybody next Wednesday. Great week. Blessed everybody. We'll see you then. Can't wait for it.